Hello my friends, my name is Dan and welcome back for my weekly whiskey review here on this channel born just over 1 year ago. It was a shy start 1 year ago in full lockdown without artistic qualities, having to use an old camera and without any real perspectives from my end. And now after 1 year I am still here. I hoped I've evolved a bit in quality, bringing you a new whiskey review every week, now in both Romanian and English, and sharing with you my personal experience about whiskey. And my advice for the beginners is, if you are new in tasting or appreciating whiskey, start with some simple expressions, not too complex, friendly, not necessarily peated, to develop your taste, to recognize the flavors. And some good examples are Glenlivet 12 years old, Glenfiddich 12 years old, or Aberlour 12 years old. And after a while, after gaining more experience, you should start to explore more complex whiskies, maybe even peated ones, discovering new sensations and new perspectives. One such complex whiskey that requires time and experience to be really appreciated is the whiskey I am reviewing today. It is not only an old complex whiskey, but also a whiskey from a distillery that has been closed for some years and that has reached the cult level. There are people who pay thousands of pounds, euros or dollars for a bottle from the Brora distillery. Because today is exactly about Brora, the official release age for 30 years, distilled in 1980 when I was not even born, and bottled in 2010 at 54.3% ABV, non-chill filtered. There is nothing mentioned about caramel coloring on the label, being the 9th edition of Brora, annually released by Diageo, the company that owns the brand. This release was limited to 3,000 bottles, and what you get when you try this exceptional whiskey, especially because it is an official bottling, it is the great quality done in a traditional old way. Brora, or as it was originally known, Kleinlich, was built in 1819 by the Marquis of Stafford in the whiskey region of Highland. It took some time for the distillery to settle down, passing through a number of owners. It wasn't until after the Second World War that the distillery began to increase capacity due to increased demand for blends. By 1967, with the whiskey becoming more and more popular, they decided that it would be easier to build a new and larger distillery, initially known as Kleinlich II. The old distillery closed for a year, but reopened in 1969 and was in production, though not always at full capacity, until it closed in 1983. In 1975, after a change in legislation banning two distilleries from being called the same, its name was changed to Brora. The reputation of the malt produced at Brora between 1969 and 1983 has become stronger and stronger, with sought-after bottles now being sold for thousands of pounds. In October 2017, Diageo revealed plans to reopen Brora and Port Ellen distilleries, both closed in 1983. These two sites were expected to be operational once more by 2020, but because of the pandemic situation, we have to wait for a little bit more. Between May 1969 and July 1973, Brora produced a heavily peated whiskey, around 40 ppm, to supply for blending purposes, but most of the whiskey produced as Brora after 1973 is in the lightly peated Highland style. So, This Brora, 30 years old, distilled in 1980, will be not as smoky as some of the previous Brora editions. This edition balances just a little smoke with a wonderful fruity quality. As you have seen in the introduction, I poured this glass some time before. I gave it some time to rest. I already tried it and took my notes, and now I will share my opinion with you. A golden color, very full-bodied, very oily, with thick symmetrical legs that drip very slowly on the walls of the glass. On the nose, very different than the majority of whiskies, with some of the notes never to be found in the younger whiskies made in the 21st century. And the fact that a 30 years old whiskey is at 54.3% ABV tells us something very important. It's about the quality of the casks. Soft smoke, aromatic smoke, roasted meat, vanilla, almonds, leather, candle wax, ginger, black tea, old furniture, apple peel. Very, very complex indeed. On the palate, oily, almost waxy texture, mineral flavors, barbecue meat, citrusy, smoked barley, not a lot of smoke, but a bit more than in the smell. Nuts, salty caramel, cinnamon, dried fruits, dried cherries, barley sweetness, honey, ginger biscuits. A long dry finish with wood smoke, ginger, meaty and oily. A classic indeed, a journey to the past, a real time capsule. I've got one more thing left to do, the mark. .4 out of 10. Absolutely beautiful. This is the second highest mark so far on my channel. My advice for you is don't try this whiskey before you try at least, let's say, 100 different whiskies. And try it only if you are ready to appreciate it. If you have a bottle like this and you are not ready to give 110% to this whiskey, don't open it yet. Wait another year or 2 or 10 until you feel ready. If you want to buy it, yes, it is still available, but it's not cheap. It will cost you around £1,600 per 700 ml bottle. And some of you might say, but Brora will be back soon. But I ask you, will it be back for real? I don't think so. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here today, March 2021, on my one-year-old channel dedicated to whiskey reviews. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.